Hello everyone. I wanted to take the time today and point out a few typical mistakes that students end up making on their PPL and CPL pre-flight tests as well as flight tests. One of the first things that any examiner asks the student is, are they familiar with the CPL or PPL or CPL flight test guides? And the correct answer is yes. The reality of this is, though, a lot of the students are not familiar with the guides because they say that they've read it, but they haven't really read deep enough to understand what the flight test is about. There are certain descriptions, objectives for each exercise and flight test item that the student really needs to understand before they actually go ahead and attempt the flight test. And here's a list of items that I often see students making mistakes on supervisory flights or pre-flight tests when I go fly with them. The first thing I'd like to point out is keeping the aircraft clean. That includes cleaning the windshield or any oil bottles or any sort of garbage that's inside the aircraft in the baggage area or on the floor. You want to make sure that the aircraft is clean. The first impression is the last impression. So as a flight test candidate, you want to make sure that the examiner, when he or she first steps into the plane, they see that you've put in the work, they see that this is the work ethic or diligence that you have towards your flying, and that certainly counts. That gets you some brownie points there. Another thing that I've noticed is a lot of students are going to miss wind inputs while taxi. Most days when you have your flight test, it's somewhat good weather days and the winds are not that strong, but the whole point of putting these wind inputs is the examiner wants to make sure, and they're going to want to see if you know how to handle the plane on the ground when the winds are significantly high, right? And it is a flight test item, so you want to make sure that you put wind inputs while taxi. Another thing I've seen students messing up on these flights is skidding. A lot of us who drive have, depending on whether you drive a manual car or an automatic car, at least I know for automatic cars, the left foot is usually heavier than the right foot. What a lot of students end up doing on these flights is they overcompensate the rudder, overuse the rudder, and what ends up happening is the airplane skids, and that's a big no-no on flight tests. So you really want to make sure that you're only putting, one, you're using rudder, two, you're using enough rudder for the plane to be coordinated and not overusing rudders in turns. Number three, and actually this is one of the most important ones on this list, is use of checklist. You really want to make sure that even if you have these items, the run-ups or emergency items, whatever it may be, even if you have it by memory, you want to make sure that you use the checklist. And this includes using the checklist on downwinds in the circuit, using it for emergency purposes, using it for forced approaches, using it for cruise check, it could be using it for your 5Ts, it could be for whatever, but you just want to make sure that you actually pull out the checklist and use it. It's there for a reason. You could memorize all the procedures for a 152 and 172. You may not be able to memorize this for a 737. So the idea here is to get you used to using a checklist. The next item on my list is radio communication. You're in the lower mainland I often hear students making really long radio calls. You have to understand that we're a busy airspace here. The practice areas are shared by all the schools in the lower mainland, and if you end up taking a lot of time on air while you're making a radio call, it's just decreasing the airtime for others to make a call, and it just increases increases the risk of getting into a major collision because someone doesn't get to make a call.